We are out here at the hobby house. It's been a while because we don't film here anymore. So I wanted to show you what the yard's looking like since it's no longer the crawling hub that it used to be. I still store some crawling stuff here, but I don't come out here to play other than in the garden. If you look back at Hobby House, episode 12, I believe, maybe Jamie, can you pull that up for us? This used to be a problem in the yard, and in that episode I dumped the rocks, which you can't see anymore because there's a bunch of stuff growing on top of them, but the yard would stay wet for weeks after a big rain. So I put a bunch of natives in. There's a bunch of trees that are growing that I really either need to trim down or completely lop down, but I've been keeping them short. In there you can see all those trees growing up, and there's a lot of stuff that I've planted that along with the natives are food hiding in there. But we also have this front garden space, which I've been kind of working on. It's you know, a work in progress, so to speak. But we have hazelnut in here. We've got some black currants. All this mess is a black raspberry. All this stuff, just they are so delicious and they harvest so much. We couldn't even keep up with them last year. It was so great. And they are really establishing, and they're coming along so much, and they're giving us new little shoots everywhere, because they tip root. So the long canes, they'll come over, and you can see this little guy down here came last year to the soil, and then boom, this year we're growing a new plant there. It's a good way to harvest new plants. Here is an apple tree from seed that you may remember from previous years. All the roots got eaten by a vole over the winter time because it was in a cage, and a cage gives them a perfect position to hide from everything in. So it ate almost all the roots except for one. And I planted that root in there, and the entire tree came back. Of course, the roots were only on one side, so it's fallen over to the side that there are no roots to hold it up. But what I'm gonna do is I'm probably gonna take more cuttings from this. Maybe I'll push some of these into the ground so that they can root there. And at any rate, we still at least have the genetics of this particular apple. Well, let's try to avoid our robot mower. My neighbors, they named it John Robot, which I think is pretty funny. But you can tell I've done no mowing this year, and it's doing both of our front yards because, I mean, why not? You know, why not? John Robot just has nothing but time to mow, and it keeps it pretty dang clean, I must say. So that's really nice. I love having this. It just helps everybody out, and isn't, you know, it's hardly any work for me at this point. It just does its job. So yeah, we'll stay out of your way, sir. Thank you. You always want to make sure to thank the robots just in case they're listening. And let's check out the backyard now. It is very, very different. Very different. So I kind of let it go wild last fall time. There's a lot of asters, which you can't see them as flowers right now, but last year they just really took over the space, and I let them because they're absolutely wonderful flowers. But from about this position looking out, when I did the Rift review, RYFT, Jamie, if you could pull that shot up of that, this was just all grass yard at that point, all grass yard. And great for playing disc golf, great for just, you know, bashing around on, but it wasn't great for gardening. And it turns out that this soil is so amazing for gardening. So let's just walk through the garden and I'll show you what it looks like now. So the old crawling course has kind of turned into a retaining wall and little path this way. I want to redo it again. Actually, I'd like to get my crawling course back, but in the meantime, it has been restructured to hold in the berm that is part of this little mini pond that we have here. I've got a bunch of wildflowers, native flowers, some food stuff on that berm side of it. We have some nitrogen fixers, false indigo, that's the tallest one here. We've got I think it's a plum cot hiding over there. This is an apple tree right next to me right here. We've got a bunch of native flowers. We have golden Alexander that's blooming right now, just starting to bloom these little gold flowers. And I need to get these logs up, kind of take care of this. I'd like to get it back to grass. This is St. John's wort, I do believe. Here's our golden Alexander, good for pollinators. We got some more wildflowers along the edge, all sorts of types in there. And then we go down this, and it's essentially going to be an orchard one day, at least I hope. We have cherry right here. if we look back, you can maybe see the pond. It's a little pond, of course. It's a pocket pond. But on the edge of that, I do have some silky dogwood on both sides that have been absolutely hammered by the deer. But this year, the deer can't eat enough. So we're gonna have some silky silky dogwoods on the side here in a couple years. This guy is, I believe it's a plum. I'd have to look. Until they start producing fruit, I don't really remember what they are. This here is either another apple or a pear, one of the two. And then we've got a pear. I remember this one's a Hosai pear because it's got a long story about deer absolutely hammering it. And then I brought it to this yard originally because I had never seen a deer at all, and it had been 6 years or something that I had the house. Didn't see one deer, and within 1 week, the deer found this and just hammered it all the way back to the ground again. All of these also have onions and garlic along the edges. I have, let's see, we've got some little bitter fruit. I forget what they're called. Chokeberries, there we go. We got chokeberries all over. We got some more hazelnuts. I've got hazelnuts all over the place, along with wildflowers and just all sorts of stuff. Some more currants. It's kind of hard to see because there's a lot going on here, but it's been fun converting this into a garden. Now, this space is still in development. I use it for rooting things, and I'm not sure if all of these are going to take, but I've got some pear over there that rooted. I've got an apple that rooted. I've got some elderberry that rooted, and this is a big elderberry this is its second year here, and it loves this position by the water. Let me tell you, this elderberry is going nuts, and I love it. We've also got a red bud, which is a native, of course, and that should give some pretty good shade over this pathway. On the other side, the tall guy, I'll just point it out here. So it looks like a black willow. I'm not 100% positive, but this guy, I'm walking all the way around. You can just stay there. So this guy is a black willow. I'm almost positive. The leaves definitely look like it, and I'm pretty sure that this is too. Kind of a green bark. This is going to be a 100-foot tree. I don't think that this is the best position for it. Not only is it going to shade the other things that I have growing here, such as this hazelnut, we've got some more elderberry right there. I've got a currant. I believe that's a currant right there, or some other little fruiting plant. I don't think it's a good position. However, I don't want to chop it down yet because I can chop this and keep it kind of low. It's also good for rooting hormone, among other things, medicinally, but it's really good for rooting hormone. So if you shove one of these right next to another cutting of a tree that you're trying to root, it will make it root better. So I'm going to keep it, but I'm going to have to keep it managed. I got to really keep my eye on this guy. But it loves the position, and it will create a really dense mat of roots that will hold this bank in, and that is something that I would like. So we'll see what happens with it. I'm probably just going to keep chopping it down and chopping it down over the years, but this is going to need intense management. You got to keep an eye on it. Also got some golden raspberries in here. These guys, it was a teeny tiny root. It was like a failed root that I just kind of threw over here. I was like, let's see. There's a little bitty guy that was in a pack of golden raspberries that I got, which I've got those all in here as well. And it turns out that this was the happiest position that any of them could have been in. So the very smallest root has grown to the largest golden raspberry. I forget if it's A-N-N-E golden raspberry or another variety of goldens. We'll see if it's double bearing or not. Some of them are, some of them aren't. So the double bearing will produce 2 flushes of fruit, one on the canes from this year. I believe those are called primal canes, and then in the fall it'll do fruit on, oh no, I'm sorry, it's the other way around. In the spring it'll do some fruit on the second year cane, and then in the fall on the first year canes. But I'm not sure if this is the double bearing, but it is flowering. All of the raspberries are flowering right now. So, well, that is the hobby house yard. And if we got a couple of more minutes, we may as well look at the hobby house yard number 2. Wait, 2. Number 2. So let's go back here. As you can see, I did build a shed. The old shed was sitting on a very nice concrete slab, as a matter of fact. And it was small enough that we were able to build this shed and still be within shed specs for the city. So we did. There's a little loft up there, and they're cool with it as long as there's not a staircase going to it. If there's a staircase going to it, then it's considered a second story, and they don't like that for a shed. So there's no staircase going to it, but it's good for storing stuff. Of course, it's a shed. What else would we want to do with it? All of this in here is wildflowers as well. There is all sorts of bee balm, and I see some more stuff that like Sochan. We got green-eyed coneflower. It's kind of hiding right here. I need to clean up. There's a lot of cleanup still left for the year. But this green-eyed coneflower is something that the natives used extensively for their diet. And it is an edible plant in all ways. The roots, the leaves, the stems, the flowers. It's pretty delicious too, honestly. So I got a lot of green-eyed coneflower just everywhere around here. And I do eat the greens fairly often, just walking through. So here, after you, sir, I'll open up the gate. You can see there's a little hole for John Robot to go through. But I have also turned this into garden. In sort of the same situation, I kind of let it go wild in some spots last year, but we have a cherry tree here, hazelnut next to it, the raspberry, the golden raspberry there and there. We got another hazelnut on this side, and then these are all wildflowers. These are all of the frost asters, or little white asters, mini asters. There's a lot of name for it, but asters. Asters all over. And on this side, I kind of let it go, but we still do have our peach trees back here. There's garlic everywhere. There's garlic everywhere. More raspberry, more hazelnut. But these peach trees, they're different varieties, so they can breed together. We also have some peach trees over there, and I put some in the neighbor's yard. We got some gooseberry down here that seems to be loving the position. Some more hazelnut. You can see that there's patterns with what I'm planting places. So we've got this peach, and underneath this peach, same thing. We got some garlic, we got some onions, we've got some hazelnut right there, along with some plant where we eat the roots. Turmeric. That's turmeric right there. It actually came back. It's not supposed to be cold hardy enough for Missouri, but it came back, so that's great. And then the last couple of positions down here, more golden raspberry. We've got some wildflowers, coreopsis here. This is an interesting upright version of coreopsis as well. And we have some columbine flower down here. It didn't flower, but maybe next year it will. I think I just threw the seed out. I don't remember planting the plant. And these are chestnuts. So I've got a chestnut here, and we've got a chestnut over there that's still pretty small. These will be anywhere from 35 to maybe 75-foot trees, depending. I tried to put them in spots where they wouldn't interfere with other things down the road, but these are gonna be kind of our anchor trees on this. And I'm pretty excited for that, but we're years away from them, probably 3 to 5 more years before we get any chestnuts off of them. And then we'll see if they're good chestnuts or not, because those are hybrids and we won't know. And while we're walking around, I'll show you hobby house number 3. So this house came up for sale, and I was in a position to be able to take it over. So I did. And so far, all I've done is try to clean up the yard a little bit. This was a rental from the last owners for a long period of time, and so it was in a lot of disrepair. The house itself needs a lot of work. There would be the opportunity to flip it, but I'm not sure that I want to do that. So I'm replatting the yards, and I'm probably just going to steal these backyards and then just sell the house for what I bought it for. That's probably what's going to happen, because I don't want another roof. I don't want to be landlord. That's not me. But in the meantime, we have this wonderful soil, this alluvial top plain soil that is so fertile. And these mulberries produce amazing mulberries, these huge trees, but they need some pruning, they need some work. And I may end up cutting them down. The closer ones to us I may cut down, and then I'll leave these 2 larger ones that are further away from us. But there's a lot of overgrown situation in here. The robot is taking care of the grass at this point in time though, so that's great. It's no more work for me to keep up the yards, front and back. The robot takes care of. It actually is impressive how much it can take care of in a week. So we'll see. But in the meantime, what I am planning on doing is somewhere around in here, I'm going to start planting my apple seeds. So I'm going to turn this into a little apple orchard. Not necessarily a canopy where I'm harvesting stuff, but really closely planted, about a foot away from each other. I'm going to start putting seedlings, And that way I can start sorting through my seedlings and finding out which ones are good, root those, and then put them in new positions. So it's going to be a little a tree nursery, essentially. I'm going to start a little tree nursery. It doesn't have to be much at first. 10 by 10 is going to give me 100 seedlings, because we can pack them really close, and between 3 and 5 years in, they're going to give me some apples if they're precocious enough. And if they're not, then it's probably not one that I want, unless I wait 7 years and it's so delicious that I'm just, you know, I just want to keep it. So that's the plan with this. I'm going to steal another yard, add it to the garden space, and then house be gone, I suppose, because I don't want a house. I don't want another house. So yeah, there's the hobby house yard. It is extended even further, and this one is nothing but possibilities and more work. But as long as I keep it trimmed up and keep the fence line from toppling over, that it's really fine. It doesn't really take a lot of work on this, because I got the robot doing the work for me for all that. Yeah, I love those robots. We'll have to do a review on that sometime if anybody is interested. So there you go. There's the hobby house yard and garden at this point. It is a little different than it used to be when we were coming out here and bashing with the Rift and brawling with the crawlers. If you do have any questions about it, if you want to talk about permaculture and some gardening, I'm the man for it. So leave your comments down below. As always, thanks for tuning in. Have a great day.